Hi, I'm Christine Guza,
I'm Colleen Canavan.
and our project is on Daniel O'Connell and Irish folk tradition.
Daniel O'Connell played a prominent role in Irish history and folklore in the 19th century. Let's take a quick look into his life.
Daniel O'Connell was born in 1775 in County Kerry to the middle-class O'Connell family. As was tradition, for the first 4 years of his life he lived with a foster farmer family, where he learned the Irish language and tradition. According to the book Immortal Dan by Renoch E. Ogan, Daniel was intimately involved with Gaelic tradition and the Irish language, which can most likely be attributed to his 4 years with this family. At the age of 4, O'Connell moved in with his wealthy uncle, and when he came of age, he was sent to London to study law. It is well known that Daniel was a successful lawyer and counselor. During his career, Daniel had two main political goals: free Catholics to practice as they wished in Ireland, and to repeal the 1801 Act of Union, an act that unified Great Britain and Ireland. O'Connell was known for the strong anti-violence stance he took, as well as his quick responses, good looks, and friendly personality. He fought with his words, having success with the threat of force rather than force itself. This made him very successful in his quest to free Catholics in Ireland and his fight to get Catholics into Parliament. His success came in 1828 when O'Connell finally becomes a member of the Parliament. With all he did for the Catholics, he was given the nickname Liberator after the Emancipation. In 1841, he was elected Lord Mayor of Dublin. He passed away in 1847, and his heart was sent to Rome, and his body was brought back to Ireland to signify his fight for the Church and his loyalty to the Irish.
Before we go into whether or not Daniel O'Connell was a hero or villain, we need to look at what was going on in the 19th century at the time. There was a large amount of cultural loss occurring at this time. During the beginning of the century, the teaching of the Irish language in schools was rapidly being replaced with English. Before Daniel O'Connell's time, nearly half of the Catholic population could speak Irish fluently. In less than 150 years, this declined to only a fraction of the population still speaking the native language. And even then it was mainly spoken only in the western part of Ireland. This was a sign that Ireland was losing its sense of identity to the English nation. Oral tradition was also being lost during this period. The stories and folklore that surround the Irish identity were being forgotten with the Irish language. Angela Burke examines this cultural loss in her essay Baby in the Bathwater. She tells us that the storyteller's art became invisible or even came to be regarded almost as a disease, a symptom of lamentable backwardness. This would be corrected years later after O'Connell's death with the beginning of the Department of Irish Folklore at the University College Dublin during the 20th century. The goal in the last century has been to restore Irish identity through the Irish language and oral tradition.
Historians have two very different views on Daniel O'Connell's life and success. Some believe that he was a heroic lawyer, just like the folklore says. Others believe that there was more he could have done to end the rapid decline of Irish tradition in the 19th century. Let's take a look at both sides of this argument.
In Immortal Dan, Ogan examines O'Connell's heroic life pattern. He tells us that a hero is a person perceived as being apart from the ordinary. From his birth to his death, O'Connell possesses the qualities of a hero. His birth is often referred to as a miraculous event. After his father donated a large amount to a Catholic church and told the priest how he had no one to leave his wealth to, the priest told him that he would not say this in 9 months' time. 9 months later, O'Connell was born. Most heroes received their immortalization in battle, but O'Connell was from a different era. His battle was one of constitutional nationalism. O'Connell fought for Catholic emancipation and devoted a large portion of his life to this. He traveled far and wide across Ireland to make this movement known and to gain support. Support grew strong, and in 1829 Catholic emancipation was granted. Dan's legacy lives on to this day. The Irish Folk Collection at University College Dublin has the largest collection of folklore on Daniel O'Connell, and it is believed that he has more folk stories collected about him than any other character in Irish history.
However, folklore can't be confused with history. Daniel O'Connell was immortalized in oral tradition as Immortal Dan to provide entertainment for people and to give them a hero they could easily identify with. These stories were exaggerations of real-life events, and most had little to no truth to them. Although he was considered a non-violent man, O'Connell was known for his rough and insulting courtroom manner that one day even led him to a duel to the death. He fought with words instead of actions and is sometimes referred to as a dark and charming man. As for his nation, O'Connell cared strongly about fighting for the Catholics, but overlooked the fact that the majority of the Catholic population were poor and illiterate. It can be argued that he cared more about fighting for the religion than for the people practicing it. Diarmaid O'Gillen's book, Locating Irish Folklore, contains a statement from Douglas Hyde, an academic and scholar in the Irish language, saying that Gaelic civilization died with O'Connell. The book goes on to quote Hyde's concerns, largely, I'm afraid, owing to his example and his neglect of incalculating the necessity of keeping alive racial customs, language, and tradition. Had O'Connell used his power and importance, there was a chance that he could have preserved the Irish language, but instead he chose to speak in English and turn his back on his heritage.
Whether you believe O'Connell was a hero or villain is entirely up to you. No matter what side of this argument people take, it is impossible to deny the everlasting impact he made on Irish folk tradition. So for our project, how we kind of approached the whole research aspect of it was we kind of split the resources that were given to us and found our own secondary sources to look at and just outlined them pretty thoroughly to see like which facts we wanted to use and how we wanted to go about our video.
And then we actually ended up having too many facts to do a 4 to 5 minute video on Daniel O'Connell himself, so we changed our angle to whether or not he was a hero and villain and had to cut a lot of our information out. But other than that, we didn't really struggle with learning about him. We struggled with some technical things like having too much wind on O'Connell Street while we were trying to record.
Yeah, we had to use a lot more voiceovers than we anticipated because of the wind. You couldn't hear anything we were saying in the city.
So that's why it's mostly just pictures of the statue instead of us.
We really struggled to find what pictures to use because some of the information we had, we were like, how do we put that in the picture? But hopefully it all made sense.
But overall, we learned a lot about Daniel O'Connell and folklore, and not just that, we learned a lot about 19th century history in Ireland as well.
We also struggled with pronouncing names of some of the authors.
Yeah. The Irish names.
So sorry if we pronounced any of that wrong. We tried. But yeah, we learned a lot. Had some fun doing it. Thanks for watching.